And let's see. All right. It says go live. Okay. LinkedIn says you're not approved. That's okay. We can remove that. Remove. Okay. Save changes. Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. It's a pleasure to be here. I wanted to invite everyone on Instagram world, on Facebook world, on YouTube, and on Periscope. It's a real pleasure. I hope everyone's having a good evening. I wanted to share with you why I'm running for United States Senate. As many of you know, we've been on the ground collecting signatures. So today's probably a great day to really talk about the Senate campaign and how it integrates to everything else I've been doing in my life, but also more recently spurring a movement for truth, freedom, and health, which has gone global, really, about the recognition of what's been going on recently with the coronavirus, with the lockdown, with the quarantining. As many of you know, I was extremely dedicated to educating people on what was going on, and that education has taken a worldwide tenor where people have become extremely happy, a lot of phenomenal feedback from people, extremely, first of all, concerned, but thankful of giving them a very different scientific perspective. But today, what I want to talk about is why am I running for United States Senate? First of all, for those of you who are new, my name is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. I'm an MIT PhD. I created the first email system in the world. I'm a scientist, but I'm also an innovator. I've spent a lot of my life in the healthcare industry in terms of actually creating things and doing research since a 14-year-old kid back in 1978 when I invented the first email system. But I also was doing medical research as a research fellow back in 78. And that trajectory put me on a path to MIT, getting 4 different degrees, and then getting my PhD in a field called biological engineering. And then later doing research, being invited, considered one of the world-renowned people in the field of precision and personalized medicine. I've written papers in all the big journals. Most recently, I was invited to the National Science Foundation to give their distinguished lecture on what you would call the immune system. The other trajectory I've had is as an inventor and an entrepreneur and an innovator, not just simply being an academic, but actually starting, companies, innovating new companies to actually help develop new technologies. That began with the invention of email, went on to create companies like EchoMail, Cytosolve, Systems Health, and I can talk more about that as we get questions from people. Independent of that, the journey has also taken me in another perspective, in another world, also to be a fighter. And that journey also started as a kid growing up where I recognized that there were different political systems and that those political systems weren't fair to everyone. And so I was interested in medicine, innovation, as well as politics. And that led me to be an activist as a young kid where I fought for all different things, made sure more women and people of color got into MIT. Organized food service workers at MIT who MIT wasn't treating well. As a scientist activist, did some of the earliest research, wrote 5 papers really exposing the fact that the scientific establishment wasn't really talking about what you would call genetically engineered foods and what they really served. And I wrote some very interesting papers doing that. When I went to India on a brief Fulbright, I exposed the corruption in the Indian government. And then more recently, I fought for innovation, the right of the fact that a 14-year-old kid did invent email in Newark. And then that led to the singular point over the last 2 years where I decided that I was going to run for United States Senate. Some of you may know that I ran in 2000 and several years ago, I ran in 2018 against Elizabeth Warren. And I ran as an independent because the GOP establishment, frankly, I'll talk about both parties. Neither of these parties really serve the interests of the American people. So I ran as an independent, and we got amazing buildup of volunteers. We really exposed the hypocrisy of not only Elizabeth Warren, but also of both parties. This year, I decided, because last year they didn't allow me on the debate stage. They didn't want to see an outsider on the debate stage, so I've decided to run as a Republican. Again, both party establishment do not want a guy like me. So the reason I'm running for Senate is because I believe it is a great honor and a great opportunity to serve you and everyone else that has helped me throughout my life, particularly those people when I was a kid, be it growing up in New Jersey, or all the other people, my parents, et cetera, who worked their buns off to help me. But one of the most important things I want to talk about is the here and now. If you really look at what's occurred with this coronavirus epidemic, it's quite incredible what's taken place. It's quite incredible because we have a entire deep state, and I want to define what that is, from the WHO, from the CDC, from the Gates Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative, the Chan Zuckerberg Foundation, who want to all have mandated vaccines. And then you have a guy like Anthony Fauci who's misadvising the president of the United States. And no one in there can really figure out how he's misadvising them until I started doing my videos and they started going viral globally. But most importantly, when you look at that deep state, including China, which is part of that, they really do not give a damn about you or me or pretty much anyone in this world. What they care about is power, profit, and control. And we've been articulating that. But what I can tell you is this entire fear-mongering that has taken place, as I tweeted out about a month ago, that entire fear-mongering is purposely intended to essentially threaten economies, and using the threat of failing economies to use that as a way to put a gun to our heads and force mandated medicine. And it's also a vehicle to suppress our freedom. So fundamentally, what we're looking at today is, are we going to go to freedom or slavery? That's what we're really looking at. And when we look at this from a perspective that the lawyer lobbyists, people like Nancy Pelosi, people like the establishment parties, they were sleeping on the job. Their incompetence is what we're saying. None of them called out the WHO. None of them called out CDC. None of them called out Anthony Fauci. None of them called out any of these people, including all the foundations, because they all get money from them. So the lawyer lobbyist incompetence are the result that we have this situation today, that we're all locked down. We have 22 million people who filed unemployment. That's what they've delivered us, because none of them are innovators. None of them are scientists. None of them work for a living. They can't even know the difference between a vaccine and a cure and immune health. These people are absolute incompetence. They can't even understand that Anthony Fauci, who he is, and that he's actually a representative of big academia, big establishment. They just think he's been there, that he knows what he's talking about. This is why in this century, in this time, you and I and others need competent people. You need someone like me. You need someone who actually studies science and engineering and physics and can call out these people. Because if you don't have someone like me, we're going to have the next fear-mongering, quote unquote, pandemic, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And you and I and all of us deserve intelligent people. We deserve people who understand a problem, can separate truth from fiction. Otherwise, we're going to be running around crashing our economies, running around fear-mongering. We won't even, these incompetent lawyer lobbyists in Congress can't even call out the fake news media. They can't even call out the fake scientists. They can't even, when a guy like Zuckerberg comes to them, they don't even know what questions to ask him. And the reason this has happened like this is because we're at a point in history where knowledge does matter more than ever. We live in a world of telecommunications. We live in a world of 3D printing. We live in a world of biological engineering. We live in a world of information technology. And the people that we put into Congress at least better have some common sense. Even plumbers, electricians, very good friends of mine, carpenters, these people actually have to solve problems. The lawyer lobbyists do not solve any problems. In fact, they create problems. Their entire history of existence is to create a problem, make money off of you. Myself, you, everyday working people, we don't make money creating problems. We have to solve problems. So fundamentally, what we're looking at here is that we have a set of people who are sleeping on the job, who did not call out the deep state. Again, this deep state doesn't care about you, and the lawyer lobbyists' incompetence were sleeping on the job. And we can't afford that, because what we need and what you need and I need and we all deserve is people who came bottoms up. We deserve truth, freedom, and health. And those are not just rhetorical words for me. Those words mean that without freedom, without liberty, without freedom, we can never get to truth. And without truth, we can never solve the real problems to find the real solutions for the health of you, me, our infrastructure, everything. That's health, our bodies and what's around us. And without that health, we're never going to be able to get something even more significant, have the essential, strength to fight for freedom. So without freedom, you don't get to truth. Without truth, you don't get to health. Without health, you don't get to freedom. And without freedom, and so on. But one of the most important things is the reason I'm running for U.S. Senate is because I have been extremely fortunate over the many years to acquire incredible amount of hands-on knowledge. I've been able to create things. And all of this came from this country, which I feel immensely indebted to. All of this came from my teachers and my mentors, my grandparents who taught me a lot, and all those people, not only in this country, but throughout the world, who came at some point. And all of you out there who've been watching the explosive nature of the knowledge we've been sharing and how much it's affecting people, it's giving hope. And all of you who've supported our campaign, all of our ground volunteers in Massachusetts, we were the first to get on the ballot. We got over 15,000 signatures. The Massachusetts GOP establishment hates me. The Democratic establishment hates me because they hate you. They hate the American working people. They believe everything's top down. That's what they believe. They do not want to see one of us be a U.S. senator, but their time is over and the time for us has come. And that means that we need to ensure that we have freedom, because with freedom, we can practice the scientific method. Without freedom, with fascism, we practice scientific consensus, which means you basically make up stuff. You get everyone to agree with you. It doesn't matter what the truth is. And the path of scientific consensus leads to fiction. Fiction leads to fake problems, fake solutions, and from fake problems and fake solutions, we destroy our health. When you look at this coronavirus crisis right here, this health crisis, and it's not indicative just of the planned, fear mongering that took place, but it's also indicative of the fact that what's happened in this country is that we do not address fundamental health issues. We don't address the immunocompromised. We do not address the fact that we have nearly the lowest longevity rate in the Western world, the highest infant mortality rate, 30% obesity. We're destroying the health of the American people. We're lowering the immune system. We're hurting and weakening the immune system. And when you weaken that immune system, when pathogens and viruses come, your body reacts to it. It's not the virus hurts us, but our body is in autoimmune state. Now, what I've just shared with you, 99% of the people in Congress or the Senate can't even share. But the founders of this country, be it Jefferson, be it Washington, be it, Franklin, these people were men of hands-on, surveyors, architects, plumbers, blacksmiths. They could see the future. That's what we need today. We need people who can see the future, who will not be sleeping on the job. Do we want more people who have, eating ice cream, standing in front of 24,000 refrigerators? Is that what we need? Or do we need leadership? Do you deserve people like me and you ensuring that truth, freedom, and health will be won? And why I'm running for Senate is I have a clear vision. I have actual understanding of the problem, the root cause problem, and actual real solutions. So when I say truth, freedom, and health, how do we get to freedom? The Digital Rights Act. We need to make sure the United States Postal Service, which is not just supposed to do postal mail, they were really supposed to do all communication to make sure that you and I could communicate freely, not only in the old days, but all communication. They need to be upgraded to the 23rd century or the 22nd or the 21st. They're so far behind, they need to move into the future. That's my point. And that means they should offer services, digital services, email, the equivalents to Facebook, YouTube. So all of us can communicate. And if anyone interferes, that's a 20-year sentence in prison, just like they use for postal mail. So that's how we can have open discourse. How do we get to open science or real science? Well, the entire academic establishment today practices the oldest profession. The way we get there, number one way we get there is we need to make sure all funding, anything we give to academic institutions, federal funding, that data is your data and it's our data. So when they publish data, when they do their medical research, that data should go into the cloud and all of us can view it. All of us can do the analysis. We don't need to wait for them to write their papers, to make up their fake science and manipulate data. It's our data. And then when it comes to healthcare, there are so many layers of middlemen. The big pharma, the big hospitals, and the big insurance rely on people called GPOs and PBMs who actually crank up the cost of healthcare. So forget about the kind of healthcare that they're doing, which isn't even questionable if they really help people, which we'll talk about. But first is we need to remove that power. We need to decentralize that. We need to recognize that health comes from the patient-doctor relationship. The medical doctors in this country have been completely taken advantage of. They've been victimized by big pharma. They do not get an education to really bring healing. They get an education to give pharmaceutical interventions and surgical interventions. The notion of health is not even in their purview. And unfortunately, many of them don't even take nutrition classes. So what I'm talking about is we need truth, freedom, and health. We need citizen science. We need the elimination of middlemen in the healthcare system who bloat up the costs. We need to support alternative medicines because they have immense value. We need to pump more research into that. And then finally, we need to fight for freedom. So I'm running for United States Senate is because we cannot have people this level of incompetence who would let the WHO, the CDC, foundations run amok and create what we're witnessing here today, a complete fear-mongering hoax, which has scared so many people that people are ready to give up their freedoms. And that's what they wanted. And this occurred because of lawyer lobbyists in Congress, incompetent people, unpatriotic people sold our country out. And I'm going after them on your behalf. And for the next 6 years in the US Senate, they're going to have someone, you're going to have someone, they're going to have someone watching over them. They're going to actually get someone very valuable. I'll be educating them too. I'll be giving them new ideas. I'll be talking about the immune system. And if they don't want to hear it, you know how I know to use social media. You've seen what I can do in 6 weeks to educate the world. But that's why I'm running for US Senate. We must have a country by the people, for the people, not only in words, but with people who can execute on that. There's a lot of people who say those words, but they have no skills to execute on that. So that's why I'm running for Senate. This is about service. This is about giving back. This is about truth, freedom, and health. That's why I'm running for US Senate. I'm going to see if anyone wants to take any questions here, and we can see what I see here. Elimination of middlemen. Let's show this one right here. When anyone speaks the truth, they look at us like we have three heads. That's what Cindy Jackson says. Well, what's happened for far too long, thanks, Cindy, what's happened for far too long, as Cindy says, is that the fake science establishment, the fake news establishment, big pharma, all these guys have taken over narratives. They rewrite stories. When I started putting out, look, vitamin D, which many amazing doctors know that it helps, is an antimicrobial effect, people like Facebook take away those posts. It's incredible. Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, in my view, should be indicted on some level that they're stopping this kind of important information. When I talked about vitamin C being valuable, particularly for the critically ill, none of the newspapers want to carry this. But fortunately, there's smart people who start to listen, and we're starting to see lives. This is why we need someone like me. This is why you need someone like me, who's an innovator, MIT PhD, an engineer, but more importantly, everyday working class kid who grew up with nothing and came bottoms up. Enough of these lawyer lobbyists. I'm running against three of them. One who's been in there for 50 years, malarkey. Another, Joke Kennedy, who's, by the way, uncle, and this guy wants vaccine mandates, is supporting him when he knows I'm here. Doesn't matter, he supports me now. I don't need Bobby Kennedy. But what I can tell you is that it's not the Kennedys, who are going to save us, because they're part of the not so obvious establishment. And then you have another fool that I'm running against who the GOP establishment is throwing in, so I don't get the Republican nomination. But they're going to have a big, big surprise for them, because we're going to win, and we must win. So thank you, Cindy, for that very good heads up. So I'm picking people's comments. I have a very good tool here that allows me to see what you're saying. Yeah, here's a good one. They're censoring. This is from Diane Austin. They're censoring vitamin D and C so much more. Thank God you are honest. Look, we not only need honest people, which I am, but we also need fighters, and we need people who can go at them with knowledge. And that's why in the last 5 weeks, when I raised the Fire Fauci, now everyone follows it, which is great. But I will do many more things like that beyond Fire Fauci. I'm going to light a fire under all of these people's you-know-what. Because what we're having in this country, these lawyer lobbyists are selling you out. They're selling me out. They don't give a damn about you. And it's time that you got someone like me who will be your knight, who will be your warrior. You deserve that. Thank you, Diane. Someone here, let's see this. We need you like others. Thank you. Tired of being their robot. Exactly. What we got here. Very cool comments coming in. Someone said, fire Fauci. Here we go. Someone saying here, I think I know how to use this here. Someone saying, what do you recommend for a daily dose of vitamin D? Mary Rogers. Look, just to be careful, this is not medical advice, but what I take is as an adult 5,000 to 10,000 IUs. If people want to go to Shiva for Senate, by the way, everyone right now, please go to shivaforsenate.com, because if you go to that website, that's our website. If you contribute to the website, whatever you can, everyone gets a book called System and Revolution and an application, a software application that I created that teaches you how your body is a system. And that's up there because my goal is to teach you, whether I'm here or not, so you can actually understand how systems work, how your body is a system. And that's the goal that I built that. And if you can't afford that, send me an email and I'll figure out a way to get it to you. But the bottom line here is to win truth, freedom, and health. So when it comes to you, Mary, vitamin D, by the way, is an antimicrobial. As an adult, I take 5,000 to 10,000 a day. Sometimes what I recommended in the letter I wrote, Mary, to the president, it lays out the protocol for healthy people, people who have COVID, people who are extremely under stress, and those people are critically ill, and how much vitamin C and D you should take. Hope that was valuable. Let's look at this one. Dr. Shiva, my issue is we know that CV-19 is not as bad as they say. Why is Trump not telling us the truth? That's Glynis Philia. So look, I don't know what the president is thinking. I'm not in there in the background, so it's hard for me to read that. I cannot control the decision-making that goes there. But what I can tell you is, oops, is this flipped the other way? Yes, I'm sorry, it was flipped the other way. Is that why the roll was there? Okay, so what I can tell you is at a fundamental level that what I've decided to do is I've decided to use my power of articulation, my science, my knowledge to share knowledge. And I know the president has received that knowledge. I can assure you he's gotten that. I can assure you that he understands what Tony Fauci is about. I can assure you that this president knows what the WHO is about. That's why he's defunding them. And you can see Gates going crazy. But we also must remember that it's not just Gates against the president. It's Gates and Hillary Clinton. Gates and Hillary Clinton. These people are both involved in the distribution of their goal is mandated medicine. So that's what they want. So there's a huge, huge cabal here. There's a massive swamp here, and something we can't even fully fathom. But I feel fortunate that these mediums exist, so I can share that knowledge, and I know the knowledge is getting to them. So thank you, Glynis. Let's see what else we got here. I think I'm learning how to use this new tool. Here we go. Let's see what this person says. Natural healing for all. Annabelle, look, long before pharmaceuticals existed, long before vaccines existed, people figured out how to survive. We came out of viruses. We came out of microbes. We are a walking virus factory. We have about 380 trillion viruses, microbes in us, 60 trillion bacteria among our 6 trillion cells. What we do know is that the body, when taken care of properly, will heal itself. So when Ann Bale says natural healing for all, natural to me means figuring out how to bring your body into homeostasis. If you guys go to yourbodyyoursystem.com, that's where I built a very powerful tool. Anyone overseas, you can go use it. Anyone who joins and supports our campaign, I give that to you as a part of whatever donation you want to give. But one of the important things is on Your Body, Your System, you can actually go there. When you say natural healing, we need to understand every one of our bodies is different. The ancient traditional medical systems knew this, which meant the right medicine for the right person at the right time. And modern medicine, starting in 2003, with the advent of systems biology, is realizing that. It's called precision and personalized medicine. As some of you may know, I'm an MIT PhD. I'm an inventor. I'm a scientist. I do research. And part of the reason to run for Senate is that you need that kind of knowledge set, particularly in the 21st century. If we want natural healing for all, you need people like myself who actually understand the value of herbs, who've studied it. My technology, Cytosolve, CYTOSOLVE. It's a powerful technology where we can model molecular pathways. I can tell people definitively how these molecular reactions work. Why turmeric is, for example, a great herb. Why are cloves good? Why are all these amazing things in nature's pharmacy powerful for us? And it's time you had someone fighting for that. But what we have is people who fight for big pharma, big hospitals, big insurance, and these lawyer lobbyist criminals who fortunately, I never voted for them. I have a pretty clean voting record. The only person I ever voted for in my life was Donald Trump, and I feel great about that because he's a disruptor, he's anti-establishment, and he goes against these guys. I can tell you his election made it possible, inspired someone like me to run. So let's go to the next one here. I think I can, here we go. Someone has a long question here. Let's see over here. Someone says, Shiva, sono un italiano e vivo in Italia. I can't, if someone can translate, this would be great. I wish I took a little, I know she's saying thank you at the end, but I know our stuff has gone all over the world. And I'm trying to figure this out. I can't really translate it. I'm sorry. If anyone else can figure it out and put it in the comments, it'd be great. But, Italy, one of the things people need to understand that Italy had one of the most vibrant, medical freedom movements going after the aspect of mandated vaccines right before all of this was taking place. One also needs to understand that in Italy, the Italian hospitals, because of the corruption that takes place in Italy, are not a place that you want to go. No one wants to talk about how many people die in typical flus in Italy. And in fact, no one wants to talk about the reality that 38% of the people in the Italian who were showing up are age 60 and over. So the entire cooking of the books is taking place relative to this quote unquote crisis. As I wrote to the president, I came up with a real solution, a system solution. If you go to shivaforsenate.com, which is our US Senate website, as you scroll down, in fact, if you go to a section called Take Action, you will see right up there is the letter to the president, right up on the menu, Take Action, letter to the president. In that letter, I lay out clearly that we need to take a multi-tiered solution. That multi-tiered solution is it's not one size fits all medicine, everyone being quarantined, everyone having to do this onerous stuff. I said, let's take the people who are healthy, give them some good support of their immune system, vitamin D and A, and let's get them to work. That's what should have happened. But Anthony Fauci, who's part of the medical establishment, didn't want to support that because he supports big pharma, big vaccines. The second group of people who are immunocompromised, let's really give them a booster shot of vitamin D and A. You see, the problem is it seems like people want big sounding pharmaceutical names. They don't want something as simple as vitamin D or vitamin, C or vitamin A. The pharma industry doesn't like. They want to replace that with ventilators and vaccines. That's their response. So I'm here to tell you that as a scientist, as an innovator, as an MIT PhD in biological engineering, what I'm telling you is that we have a huge opportunity with someone like me who will fight vigorously for you, who will be your warrior, as you've seen, who will not let them get away with 1 inch. And that's what we need to win, because the scientific establishment, the innovation establishment, the healthcare establishment is all compromised. And the lawyer lobbyists are sleeping on their job. They're incompetent, completely incompetent. We can't afford people like this anymore. That's why I'm running for US Senate. Someone just said, okay, just donated $25 and very, very excited to receive your body, your system program. Look, everyone who's listening, if you care about understanding that you won't get in medical school, you won't get it elsewhere, you won't get in science. When I went through my journey, interested in medicine, came to MIT, I understood engineering. I started figuring out how engineering systems work. I have a degree in electrical engineering and computer science. I know how computers work. I know how to build computers. I know how chips and processing arrays. I've worked on this hands-on. Then I have a master's in mechanical engineering. I know how engines work. I can build an engine. I can understand, mechanical wave theory. I understand physically. You can throw me in and I can figure out how these things work. I have a degree in design from the MIT Media Lab. And then I have a degree in biological engineering. The reason I'm sharing those degrees is I have a deep understanding of engineering principles. And what I discovered was the traditional systems of medicine were not woo-woo. The traditional systems of medicine relate directly to engineering principles. In fact, if you look at the words that they use in traditional systems of medicine that my grandmother used, and you map them to those same words an engineer uses, they match one-to-one. And that was the evolution of one of my training programs, the institute I've built called Systems Health, where I've trained many thousands of doctors, thousands of lay people in understanding their body as a system. And that resulted in me creating a tool that everyone could use that Tesa Chan is talking about, Your Body, Your System. And it's embedded into our campaign. I'm not saying after I get elected that I'm going to do something for you. What I am saying is here and now, those people who join our campaign, we're going to teach you how the body is a system. You're going to learn what is revolution. You're going to learn what is a system. There's a book called System and Revolution. So go to shivaforsenate.com and you get a piece of software which I created. Lawyer lobbyists can't create anything. They create nothing except problems for you and me. So thanks, Tesu Chan. I hope you enjoyed that. Everyone, go there, support the campaign. And everyone should remember, we got on the ballot. We were the first on the ballot, and none of the mainstream media will cover it. None of them. So we don't care about the mainstream media. We're always going to go direct, bottoms up, bottoms up, bottoms up. So everyone, share this video. Let people know that a revolution has begun. And that revolution is for truth, freedom, and health. And it's bottoms up. It's not on the Hillary Clintons. It's not on the Bernie Sanders. Complete farce, this fellow. Not on the Kennedys. All these people talk the rhetoric of change, but they all are incestuous. This is why when you look at a guy like Robert Kennedy or the Kennedys, they attack Gates, but they don't say anything against Hillary Clinton, who is equally bad. She's equally corrupt. And that's what we need to realize. We can't have one yardstick of measure for these people and another yardstick of measure for that people. That's the symbol of the not so obvious establishment. What do we have here? We have Patricia saying that there are people there who don't want to get the vaccine, and she's asking how they can get around the directive. Oh, I see. You're saying that's what the okay. I guess that is our person from Italy who don't want to get the vaccine, and how they go. Look, let's be very clear that politicians, unless they're connected with people, are going to do nothing for you and I. We're talking about a systems level change here. The notion of mandating vaccines, this is something that Bill Gates, Hillary Clinton, the WHO, CDC have thought about for a long time for big pharma. Their goal is to scare us so much with fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which is, by the way, that big companies sell. IBM's slogan was fear, uncertainty, and doubt in terms of how they sell. So they scare you. They make you feel, oh my God, the world is uncertain with doubt. And that is when they will sell you something. In this case, sell you mandated vaccines or mandated medicine. And the bottom line here is that to change that, it's not going to come from begging to politicians. We need to fire people like Fauci. And the next Fauci that comes, we need to fire him again. We need to have a systemic change. And that's what's laid out in my program. If you go to shivaforsenate.com, if you go to shivaforsenate.com, we have the Citizens Rights Act, the Health Rights Act, the Digital Rights Act. All of this is an integrated program. It's a real program. It's not some BS. And by the way, we don't have consultants here. We have you and us. I listen to you. We put together programs. We do innovation. We do science. That's how we take the world into the future. That's how we create the future. I'm going to ask Jen how we're doing. Jen, should I take a few more questions? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. This one says, this guy's a quack, Jamie Walsh. Well, you have your right to your opinion. We are woke, Jamie Easley, another Jamie. It's interesting. Two different Jamies, two different attitudes about life. All good. This person, a big fear-mongering alert. Trump's press briefing just gave out false information. They talked about worrying about having to possibly deal with 2 viruses flu season and about how hard that would be, the flu virus and COVID-19. You know very well there are several influenza and flu viruses circulating every year. This is big fear-mongering info they're giving out. You're absolutely right. Look, since my videos went viral, I've been called by leaders of countries, people, scientists, economists all over the world. I can't tell you from governments calling me. And the reason they're calling me is because I present to everyone in an accessible way the immune system. That's where we need to start at. We need to go back to first principles, as we say in physics. The earth goes around the sun. The sun doesn't go on the earth. There are truths. What they have done is to manipulate people to think, well, truth is sort of weird. It doesn't really exist. So they've created an educational system where they've told kids, it doesn't matter, Johnny, if you get the wrong answer, as long as you did your best. No. If you get the wrong answer in chemistry, you can blow up somebody. If you get the wrong answer when you're building a plane, people die. There is right answers. There is truth. And truth comes from using the scientific method. So the opposite of the scientific method is fear. And as Ulla Gram is pointing out, it comes from essentially abusing people with scientific consensus. They know that the videos I'm putting out are going viral. They know that you, with your own common sense, are building up your own weaponry and you're sharing these videos. So the only opposition they have is to do more fear-mongering. And if we remember this principle, that it is not the viruses that harm us, and everyone should listen again and again and again, it's not the viruses. It is a compromised immune system. It is a compromised immune system. As I shared in my NSF lecture, we have multiple parts of the immune system: the gut microbiome, the gut-brain axis, the innate system, the adaptive system, the interferon system, the neurals. All these are beautifully interconnected. When pathogens come to us, and they're doing that every millisecond in a healthy body, the body knows how to deal with it. In fact, we're supposed to be exposed to viruses. In the original worlds, people would go when someone got chickenpox and you would get it so you could build the immunity. We've had this really screwed up view that these pathogens are bad from us. That's the lie. Our interferon system in our body is expecting viruses. So it heals itself and it gets stronger. Just like your body has muscles. We're supposed to go lift weights. We're supposed to do labor. So we get stronger. That's what should take place. That's what is supposed to occur. But they lie to us. This freaking lie, fear-mongering fascist Fauci must be fired. So everyone go to our website, Shiva for Senate. If you go to take action, you'll see another thing, petition to fire Fauci. We're about, I think, 15,000 away from 100,000. When that is done, I will be, through my channels, delivering that to the President of the United States. Fauci must be fired. And it's not just him. It is to send a signal that we are smart, even though the lawyer lobbyists are sleeping, because they're incompetent fools. And we got to stop. Not one lawyer, no more, should be elected. I'm sorry, there may be a few good ones, but most of them are not good people, okay? They're not. Some of them are good, but most of them, if they were good people, they would say, I'm not going to charge you big retainers. They're the only business I know that you don't have to deliver anything, but they take your money. They're the only business. Think about that. And they put the ESQ on them, Esquire, as though they're better than you and I, because that comes from an aristocracy symbol. One level above gentleman, one level below knight. You can look it up. So the lawyers are the monarchs, the aristocrats. They think they're better than us. No more. Get rid of them all. Because you have better choices now. You have someone like me, and my winning in Massachusetts, which is a center of the deep state, will be an inspiration to your kids. Wow, that guy who worked hard, one of us, he's in the Senate. We need more people like that. That's why I'm running for Senate. It's for inspiration, but it's ultimately the recognition that everyone listening here and everyone throughout the world, innovation is in our DNA. We are the light, and we must fight. We don't have a choice. because throughout human history, it has always been freedom versus slavery. Always freedom versus slavery. And when we give to slavery, we end in the dark ages. And we end to freedom, we end in the golden age. But that requires one critical ingredient. And that critical ingredient is called courage. Courage is a word that the establishment doesn't know what to do with. It's not in any of their models. It's what's called a confounding variable. So I encourage you all to have courage at this point. Recognize that what I'm sharing with you is the fundamental truth that comes out of scientific understanding, that the immune system needs to be supported. That's why we should, those of us who are healthy, start learning the right foods and medicines. I mean, I will teach you. Start learning what vitamins support you. I can teach you that too. And we can teach each other. But that's how we boost up the immune system. It's not going to come from top-down medicine. So once again, in closing, everyone should know my name is Dr.SHIVA Ayyadurai. I'm an MIT PhD. I created the world's first email system when I was a 14-year-old kid, long before I came to MIT. It was done in Newark, New Jersey, in humble surroundings by the collaboration. It was done by the collaboration of some amazing teachers who supported me, my loving parents, and a mentor. And it was in a small medical college when I converted the old-fashioned inter-office mail system. I stayed awake until 2 in the morning. My mom and papa didn't have tutors. They couldn't afford tutors. I wrote the code. I wrote 50,000 lines of code. I named it email. And I got the first US copyright at a time when that was the only way to protect software inventions. And those facts are so black and white. And it's amazing how the mainstream media tries to malign it, how people go on Wikipedia. And that tells you the reality here. They do not want to recognize you and me and the power of our infinite capabilities for innovation, that great innovation comes from the edges. It doesn't come from the center. And it is always and always will come from everyday people solving problems. That's where email comes from. Didn't come from the military industrial academic complex. So when I'm running for you for US Senate, you're getting like a quadruple threat with me, meaning I can talk, I know science, I'm reasonably good looking, I know how to articulate myself, communicate, and you're getting someone who will be a warrior for you. And that's what you deserve. You don't deserve incompetent lawyer lobbyists. Enough of them. Look what they've created. They created this. Is this what you want? Do you want every flu season, as Ula saying, another fear-mongering? I don't believe you do. I would love you for sure. Carmen Lindner. Hi, Carmen. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Very sweet of you. Someone said, I bet Louis Pasteur knew something about 5G. He knew nothing about germs, though. Well, you know, one of the most important things we need to recognize is that whenever you get closer and closer and closer to understand, someone said, very handsome. Thank you. I didn't see that. Fuck lawyers. Okay. Excuse my language. Sorry. Billy just made that up. That was essentially a very creative way of saying that he doesn't like lawyers. Let's look over here. Did you ever hear of ozone therapy? Apparently 20 countries are using this to battle against COVID, so it has good results. Look, there are many, many amazing therapies that involve boosting up the immune system. Now, when I wrote my letter to the president, I wanted to focus on something that, again, is a systems problem that could support the immune system and that was affordable. Pennies, vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin C, iodine, and iodine. And these are solutions that many, many doctors know about. These are written in the literature. But the issue is that with someone like me, because I got all their credentials and because I know what I'm talking about, because this is my research field, I have for you a unique advantage is that finally the truth is getting out and it's going global. So yes, ozone therapy, there's many other, oxygen, instead of shoving high pressure stuff down the air down people's lungs, which are essentially hurting the alveoli and people are in those critical conditions. And one of the opportunities to give people vitamin C, high dose vitamin C. That's what we need. I deserve people who think, look, if someone else was there that could do my job, I would be back doing my research and my science, okay? I love doing that. I love doing art. I love taking care of my body and health, but I'm doing this because I don't see anyone else there doing this right now. So I'm doing this as a service. And you deserve that. We deserve that. All those people who gave so much to me and fought for me deserve that. For my aunts and grandparents who lived in little huts and little buildings in India, who worked their butt off, to my working class teachers who helped me, they deserve this. So let's wake up and build a movement. My running for US Senate at shivaforsenate.com. Go there, support this campaign. It's your campaign. It's not my campaign. I just happen to be the person at the right place at the right time. Okay? I'm a humble catalyst, but you got someone like me. Now it's for all of us to rise up and be warriors. I'm running for US Senate to inspire you to be the light, because that is what you are. There is a divinity within all of us. And there is also evil. There is the evil of Hillary Clinton. There is the evil of Bill Gates. There is the evil of the WHO and the CDC and the Chinese Communist Party, who think they know better. And we must go after them. We must destroy them. But it's not going to occur by pussyfooting around. It's not going to occur by the likes of Bobby Kennedy and people like him, the not so obvious establishment, who point out Bill Gates, but give a pass to Hillary Clinton. That's called two different yardsticks. That's called hypocrisy. I don't know anything to these people. You see, I came bottoms up. Those people come top down. They have a lot of people that they owe favors to. You deserve better than that. So anyway, in closing, this campaign is your campaign. It's about truth, freedom, and health. Truth, freedom, and health. Truth, freedom, and health. That's what this is about. It's about you taking responsibility for your life. It's about you recognizing that your destiny is not to be a slave. And someone just asked me today, oh, are you afraid of your life? Here was my answer. Define life. Is life supposed to be living in bondage where people are telling you what to eat, what vaccines, what goes into your bloodstream? Or is it to be a free human being? I'd rather be a free human being for 6 months than live 60 years as a slave. That's what this is about. And I mean in a profound way. This is not about being in shackles, but this is about hundreds of millions of cameras watching us, observing us. That's what 5G definitively is about. I don't want people to get distracted. 5G is about surveillance. It's about creating the surveillance state. And vaccines are about owning your bloodstream. And Bill Gates knows what he's doing. It's because the immune system is our operating system. Remember, this guy stole someone else's operating system and sold it. He knows the power of operating systems. If you have your iPhone app, just remember that this iPhone, the basis of this is the operating system. Everything about it is called apps. When the PC first came out, who owned the operating system? Bill Gates. I remember being in a meeting with Jim Manzi, who was a CEO of Lotus Development Corporation. They had an app called Lotus 123. They were owning the world. But you know what? Gates owned the operating system. And I remember Jim Manzi saying, you know what? Oh my God, we're going to lose to this guy because he owns the operating system. Bill Gates and Big Pharma want to own your operating system, which is the immune system. And when they own that immune system, they're going to vertically integrate it, and different big pharma companies are going to own it. And it's going to be a $7.2 trillion payday for them. That's my calculation. Could be maybe half of that, or could be 10 times that. But it's a multi-trillion-dollar economy for them because their entire pharmaceutical industry is tanking as you and I learn how to eat better, as we start using herbs and food, and we demand clean water, clean air, clean food. Their days are gone. Maybe in rare cases you may need them in surgery, but in day-to-day cases, we don't need them. And that's what they know. This campaign is about truth, freedom, and health. Everyone, please go to Shiva for Senate right now. Support the campaign. And by the way, you're not supporting me, you're supporting you, because when you support our campaign, you get an amazing book called System and Revolution. You get to understand how their body is a system. And that comes from 40 years of my effort. All my degrees at MIT, all my research, that's my gift to you. Let's win. Do the right thing for yourself. No more lawyer lobbyists. Anyway, this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. I look forward to serving you in the United States Senate. I look forward to all your help. Share this knowledge. Support your brothers and sisters. This is our time to win, because we have no choice but to win for truth, freedom, and health. Thank you, everyone. Be well.